One of my passions is the Rubik's Cube. And back in the early 80s, when the cube came out, my students at Filter Faulkner, I helped them learn how to solve the cube. And I actually never learned myself. I used the book and modified it. But it was actually really neat to help students do this. And in addition to solving the cube, we also looked at what happens when you do turns of the cube. Like, where do pieces go when you do that? And there's just a ton of mathematics involved in that. So there was just so many good things. But it turned out that one of the contests I ran at school, the Toronto Star picked it up and they ran a story about it. And I was fortunate enough to have the Ideal Toy Company contact me. So I helped organize the contest across Canada. And this involved doing some work with Professor Rubik. So he came to Canada, spent a week with him. And he came into town and we both acted as co-judges for the Canadian National Cube Contest. I was in charge of the scrambles, so I had to mathematically think about what we were going to do. This is Professor Rubik with me. When I started my teaching career, I was doing a lot of professional magic. And I wish I could show you the trick I was doing here. It was a beautiful trick. I'm not allowed to ignite a cigarette here. So what I used to do is I walk up to a table in a restaurant, and I take somebody's, nice jacket or something like that, and I take a lit cigarette, and I take out this cigarette and put it into their, jacket, or into that, or into their napkin, or whatever it was, and then just make the cigarette disappear. So it just went. So it was gone. And so it was a beautiful trick. As I say, I wish I could show it to you. Anyway, I also got involved with some television commercial companies, for some companies for Cadbury's and also for Basel margarine. And this particular commercial for Basel was unbelievable because it had a cube with all kinds of different pictures on it. It wasn't the standard Rubik's Cube. And when we were filming this, it was one of my students who was the handball. It fell. And I had to get this bloody cube back. I mean, it was just awful trying to do this. But it turned out that when I got the cube back, the center was twisted, which is turned around. You would never know that this would happen in a regular cube, because it's just colored green. But it was actually twisted. So I had to learn a move that would actually just turn just the center. And from this, what I learned is that if you take a cube, and if you do any move on the cube, and do it again and again and again, the cube will come back. It always happens. There is some beautiful mathematics in this. And in fact, there's actually a ton of mathematics in our curriculum that's like this, where things loop around. It's not just the cube. If you take, I have some sequences here for you. If you take two numbers, A and B, and add 1 to B and divide it by A, and just do that over and over again, you actually loop back around to where you were at. Dividing fractions. If you divide 7 into 1, it loops around. You end up having a cycle. There's all sorts of things like this. Now, taking a deck of cards. If you take a deck of cards and if you split it exactly into 26 cards, and then riffle shuffle them together, if you do that shuffle again and again and again, exactly the same way, the whole deck will come back. And it turns out that's an incredibly powerful weapon for magicians. It's called the Pharaoh shuffle. And you can just do tricks that just blow people away with that shuffle. But there's just tons of things like this. The cube can also be used to teach inverse functions. The way this is usually done, where you switch X and Y and you do this algorithm thing, nobody really knows what's going on. But if you use the cube, if you just take the cube and do some moves on it and ask students, how would you get the cube back without taking the colors off? Well, you just undo your steps. You just reverse what you did. And it's the same thing with the cube. So there's great mathematics in teaching inverse functions. And also in combinatorics, asking the fundamental question, how many ways are there that the cube could be positioned? And it turns out that there's a really cool thing that happens. You have to divide by 12, because there are 12 worlds for the cube. If you take somebody's cube and you take one of the corners of it and twist it around and put it back in, you can't solve the cube. It's in a different world. And it turns out there's 12 of them. There's 12 different worlds. So there's fantastic mathematics in that. So even though the cube came out in the early 80s, it's still very popular. And it's something you really should look at. I had to go around and promote the Rubik's Cube contest back in the early 80s. And one of the things that happened is I watched Doug Henning do this trick that just blew me away. He took a scrambled cube, threw it up in the air, caught it, and it was solved. And that was it. And I've never learned how we did it. So what I ended up doing is I learned how I could take a Rubik's Cube and just put it in the palm of my hand and just whisk it away and have it solved. So that was the method that there's also a lot of places that you can go to learn more about the cube. There's this great organization called You Can Do the Cube, and they have all sorts of resources, particularly the elementary level, that is amazing. So you can actually get the files here from me. It's RL Ignite, and you can just download all the files. I have a whole bunch of things in there, except for how I did the tricks.